The year is 1204. The Fourth Crusade was no longer heading to the Holy Land, but toward one of the richest cities in the world. The target was no longer Jerusalem, but Constantinople. The Christian world was turning against itself. This attack was not driven by faith alone. It was a calculated move for trade, power, and control of sea routes. And at the center of this plan stood a rising maritime power, Venice. When the sack of 1204 began, Constantinople faced a catastrophe unlike anything it had seen in centuries. Churches were looted, sacred relics were stolen, and the wealth of Byzantium was loaded onto ships. One of the greatest beneficiaries of this destruction was Venice. Constantinople had fallen, Byzantium was shattered, and the Latin Empire had been established within the city. But Venice was not the only rising power in the Mediterranean. Another maritime republic was growing in the west, Genoa. Through trade networks and powerful banking families, the Genoese accumulated enormous wealth. Their main ambition was to dominate the trade routes leading into the Black Sea. And soon, a rivalry that would last for centuries began between Venice and Genoa. By the 13th century, Mediterranean trade had become one of Europe's greatest sources of wealth. Spices, silk, grain, and precious goods. Every product arriving from the east generated immense profit. The states controlling the ports were also controlling the economic state of the Mediterranean. That is why the rivalry between Venice and Genoa became far more than a simple struggle for trade. In 1261, Byzantium made a crucial agreement with Genoa to end Latin domination over Constantinople. Emperor Michael VIII, Palaiologos, agreed to grant the Genoese major trading privileges. That same year, Constantinople was recaptured and the Byzantine Empire was restored. But even after its return, Byzantium was no longer as powerful as before. The city's economy was increasingly falling under foreign influence. One of the greatest privileges granted to the Genoese by Byzantium was the district of Galata. Rising across the Golden Horn, Galata quickly became one of Genoa's most important trading bases. Surrounded by warehouses, walls, and towers, the district became almost a separate city within Constantinople itself. The trade of the Byzantine capital was no longer fully under Byzantine control. Genoa's true power expanded even further through access to Black Sea trade. The port of Kaffa in Crimea became one of Genoa's most important trading centers. silk, furs, grain, and slave trade, wealth flowing from the Black Sea enriched Genoa. This expansion represented a major threat to Venice. By the late 13th century, the rivalry had begun turning into open warfare. Across the Mediterranean, the two great maritime republics fought each other for control of trade routes. At the Battle of Cursola, in 1298, Venice suffered a devastating defeat. It is even believed that the famous traveler Marco Polo was captured during this battle. Despite the defeat at Cursola, Venice recovered rapidly. The Venetian arsenal was one of the most advanced shipbuilding centers of the medieval world. The warships produced their restored Venice's dominance at sea. For Venice, maritime trade was not just about wealth, but survival itself. Genoa drew its strength not only from warships, but from bankers and merchant families as well. The city's wealthy families built vast trade networks across the Mediterranean and accumulated enormous fortunes. Genoese ships transported valuable goods from the Black Sea into Europe. Now there were two dominant powers in the Mediterranean, and both sought to rule the seas. By the 14th century, the Byzantine Empire was far from its former glory. Much of the city's trade had fallen under the control of Venetian and Genoese merchants. The Byzantine emperors struggled to maintain balance between the two maritime powers. But this policy of balance only made the empire increasingly dependent. At that very moment, a new power was rising in Anatolia, the Ottomans. At first a small frontier principality, the Ottomans quickly gained strength along the Byzantine borders. Bursa, Nicaea, and other key cities gradually fell under Ottoman control. This rise represented a new threat to both Venice and Genoa. In 1354, the Ottomans established themselves in Gallipoli, gaining a permanent foothold in Europe. This development marked a major turning point for Byzantium. Venice saw Ottoman expansion as a threat to trade in the eastern Mediterranean. Genoa often tried to protect its interests rather than directly confront the Ottomans. But this fragile balance across the Mediterranean would not last for long, because the rise of the Ottomans was about to change the struggle between Venice and Genoa forever.